Hello guys. It's been a minute since I've done a vlog. I finally just found the time and enough energy to to get back in the rhythm of it. It's been a hot minute. I'm going to do a series of movie theories. I've seen 4 movies in theaters this year so far, starting back in February. So some of these movies have been out for a bit. The first one of these I'm going to talk about today is Lisa Frankenstein. That came out, I don't know, February. So this movie came out this year. Of course, it's rated PG-13. It's an hour 41 long, not too long. Has 6.1 out of 10 on IMDb with about 20,000 ish user votes. It has let's see what we got here. 47% on Metacritic with 152 critics. It's directed by Zelda Williams, who's actually the daughter of Robin Williams. She also did, let's see here. She also did some voice work in The Legend of Korra, which is cool there. The movie stars Catherine Newton, who she actually plays Cassie Lang in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. I did not recognize her at all in this. Like, she completely changes her hair for this, but that's interesting there. And also stars Colin Sprouse, who, where is it? Cole Sprouse, not Colin. Cole Sprouse, who was in, of course, Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, and all that stuff on Disney, and Riverdale for those of you who like his more older stuff. Let's see here on Rotten Tomatoes. The movie had 52% by critics with 200 critics, and 81% by audiences with about 250 ish. What the critics say, the consensus there, in a fictioned callback to classic horror comedies of the 80s, Lisa Frankenstein can be fun in its own right despite not quite measuring up to the movies it imitates. The audience says is Lisa Frankenstein is an overall entertaining horror rom-com whose silly sense of humor and heavy 80s vibes help make up for the emphasis on style over substance. Okay, so now this movie's on streaming services and all that. It's been out for a bit, so it's not new, but my initial thoughts, and then I saw this with, I think I saw it on Valentine's Day actually, or to celebrate Valentine's Day with Corey, and she loved it, and I loved it too. Is it perfect? It's hard to say. I get what critics are saying though, because there was a lot of horror comedies movies in the 80s, a lot of horror stuff in general. That was a big decade for horror, was the 80s. And they're saying that it's doing a bunch of callbacks to these great movies, but it's not as good as them in itself. That's what it's pretty much saying, and I don't know about that, because there's the horror comedies I've seen from the 80s. They were fun, quirky little movies, but I don't know if I would call them better than Lisa Frankenstein. But I haven't seen every single movie in the 80s, and I haven't seen every great movie in the 80s, and I haven't seen every great horror comedy movie in the 80s, if you can call anything like that. The two I can think of is Teen Wolf. That's a big one. And there was a Jim Carrey one of his earlier ones, was like Once Bitten or something like that. I've seen both, and they're good, quirky, fun little horror comedy films. But to say movies like those are better than Lisa Frankenstein, I don't know about that. That seems a little bit of a reach, but I could be missing some big ones when I mention those two. There could be, my memory's a little blank on it, but let me think. Lisa Frankenstein, and that's all that. Okay. But I think, style over substance. Now the movie is story, so the criticism, I don't really get the criticism on the story, in all honesty. And also on the side note, I'm probably going to be a little loose with spoilers on this one because it has been out for a bit. I think the biggest problem that this movie has is, I think, pacing of character development. I think it starts off good, but I think there's a key moment in the movie, kind of towards the end, but not quite the end, where for a little bit of a chunk of section, it gets a little spazzy for the main character a little bit, but not quite, because at first I thought it was a little out of nowhere for her character to kind of be a little bit more animated like she was for a little bit. But here's the thing though, and this is something important to keep in mind: she's a high schooler, she's a teenager still. You know, earlier in the movie, you know, like we see her like all the stuff that it's obvious that she's still young, you know, and she's and I don't know, if you really think about it, it makes sense for a teenager to respond like that because she is a teenager. It's just I think the problem is the build up for that. It's there, but I think they're kind of going for a certain pace for most of it, and then they got towards the end of the story and filming, and they realized, oh wow, we did not quite mesh that with the running time well, so now we kind of have to do a quick little bump for a little bit. That's what I think probably happened. And I think this is one of her first, like, Zelda, like, her first, or if not her first, like, big theater, like, directing movies. So I can understand that in terms of writing the story and stuff, there might have been a little bit, you know, some learning curves along the way, but I have to say, this is a really fun movie. I really enjoyed this movie a lot. I think it's very funny. I think the atmosphere and I think the sets and music and all that is vibrant 80s. It's probably one of the best looking films to say it's from the 80s that I've seen in a while, in all honesty. I mean, it could have taken maybe some theatrical liberties in some cases compared to realistic 80s, sure, but in comparative taken from like movie 80s, like movies that are from the 80s that look like they're from the 80s and all that, I think it has that in spades. This movie does it great with that. Acting's really good. Like really, really good. Cole Sprouse, I haven't seen his stuff in Riverdale. I have read a lot that what he's doing here is kind of like his Jughead isms, I guess, but I don't know because I mean Corey, she has seen Riverdale, so she would know for sure, and she didn't say anything about it, so I'm assuming that's probably not the case. But Cole was really good in this. I really liked him in this, and I think with the right movies, he could really, really make it big. I'm trying to think, but yeah, everyone else is solid. I don't really have a lot of complaints about that movie, except for maybe that little thing. But if, in all honesty, I think the only thing I kind of wish it was a little bit longer, because hour 40 is good, but I kind of wouldn't mind. It's one of those cases where I wouldn't mind seeing more of them in this world, because I don't think this is the kind of movie that gets a sequel or a continuation. I really don't. Well, of course I could be wrong, but I don't know if it's that kind of movie, and I don't know. I wouldn't mind more of this. But yeah, I think I do recommend seeing it for sure. Because here's the thing, like, even if you're not really big into like 80s or horror or romance or anything like that, this is kind of one of those movies where it could be the exception. Because I feel like when people like specific genres and don't like other specific genres, I always feel like there's that one movie that's the exception to that. And going slightly off track here, but an example I can think of is my mom. She hates animation movies, despises them. But you know, when we were little, we got them to see, because my dad's kind of the same way, see Shrek with us in theaters, and they thought they would hate it, and they ended up loving it. And hell, my mom said that's the most she's seen my dad laugh at a movie ever, was Shrek. And it's crazy because the movie's like CG animation, but animation nonetheless. But it's the exception. There's always the exception to the rule when it comes to like favorite genres and stuff. Like and I think a lot of it is just art just speaks to people sometimes out of nowhere. And I think this is a good little quirky little movie to kind of, especially if they have like a relationship or date night or something like that, I think it's a really good one to do. And here's the thing, and I'll give this movie this. It did not click for me that this movie was PG-13 about 2/3 of the way through, and I'm just like, wait a second, this movie's PG-13, isn't it? And that's the best way to do a PG-13 movie. PG-13 rating is a very tricky rating, I feel like, because you don't get like the balls to the wall craziness of rated R, and you don't get the have to think outside the box and what you can get away with a PG, where you have to get clever with stuff and you really have to kind of think how to do stuff. PG-13 is kind of like that middle, that safe middle, where you can kind of be for adults, but you can also kind of be for kids too, and it's just very safe. Now, granted, there's a lot of great PG-13 movies out there. Hell, like almost all the Marvel movies are PG-13. I mean, but yeah, it's really solid. Definitely a recommendation for sure. But yeah, guys, that's all I gotta say about it. It's really solid. It's available in apps and stuff. It's definitely there to watch for sure. But yeah, guys, that's gonna do it for this video here. Thanks for watching. In case you guys want to chat with anyone at the Campy Company, you didn't want to use the YouTube comment section, we do have a couple options. First one is we have a Discord channel. You can find like that in about page/about section of our channel. We also have a community tab on our channel as well. You can access that anywhere at any time. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Please subscribe and like the videos, and have a good day.